Hi guys, welcome back to Alamat Short Stories, where we narrate short stories submitted or researched by our team to share with you all. This week's story is about the author's experiences when they went on a retreat back when they were in college. This tale is called It Took a Year for Me to Believe That It Was a Legitimate Experience by Tok Neneng. I was a skeptic and I don't have many experiences with the paranormal. But with the very few I had, this one probably had the most impact. Back in college, I used to volunteer for a college group that organized regular recollection retreat weekends for college students. I live in the Philippines, which is primarily a Catholic country, so this was a normal thing. One of our usual venues was an old dormitory in one of the most prestigious universities in the Philippines. It's popular not only for the education they offer, but also due to their rich history. They've been around since the 1860s and has also played a part during World War II. The dormitory we used was quite small, just enough to make it easy for everyone to move around during the activities. It was a two-story rectangular-shaped building. The first floor had the dining area and the kitchen. Most of the major activities were held on the second floor, since it had both the conference room and the small chapel. These rooms were on opposite sides of a long hallway, while the bedrooms and comfort rooms were spread across the hall. There was one activity that was performed during the late hours of the night. All the lights were turned off and the whole venue was only lit with candles. The activity involved multiple stations for each participant to go around to. The final station of the activity would be the small chapel on the second floor. Each participant was to be accompanied by one volunteer so they could assist them in moving around the dark. But only the participants were allowed inside the stations, while the volunteers would wait outside. It was already way past midnight and we were on our last rounds of the activity. Most participants have already reached the final station, so also almost all the volunteers were waiting in one place. We were sitting there quietly and checked which of the volunteers and their participants have not yet reached the final station. We counted that there were still around 2 to 3 to go, so we waited patiently. After a few minutes, our silence was broken by the sound of crying and running footsteps from the other end of the hall. It was running towards our direction. We felt more worried than scared because this was a familiar voice. We figured it was one of our volunteers. Eventually, she emerged from the dark. She was covering her face tightly and was trying hard not to let out her sobs. We couldn't get anything from her as she was so hard in panic for her to speak. When she calmed down a bit, we asked what happened. With struggle, she explained to us how she was in the comfort room from across the hall beside the conference room. When she got out, she was surprised to see an unaccompanied participant in the comfort room. The participant was facing the sink. The volunteer stopped the story from there. With wide eyes, she asked us in Filipino, "Do we have a candidate or a volunteer who is wearing a tank top and striped pants?" No one answered. When she saw the confused looks on our faces, she cried again and shouted, "She turned towards me and she was faceless." No one knew what to say. We didn't know whether to believe it or not. We just tried to calm her down. Nothing was mentioned about the incident the following day. I guess we all decided to just forget about it or to believe that it was just fatigue that made her see things. The regular retreats went on consistently. We would still use the same venue multiple times and no similar incident happened. A year after, I was invited to volunteer again. No other volunteer from the incident was able to say yes to the invite since they were all busy, as most of them were already in their senior year in college. All the activities went smoothly. During the second night, as everyone was starting to prepare for bed, I made rounds to all the bedrooms to check if any of the participants needed anything. Everyone was pleasant and was just happy to get some rest. As I was about to leave one of the rooms, one of the participants approached me to ask, "Is there a volunteer wearing a tank top and striped pants?" I was stunned. This participant was a total stranger to any of the previous volunteers. There was no way he knew about the story before that weekend. I never got to answer him back. I just left the room and told nobody until the end of that weekend. What do you guys think of this week's story? I've been to a couple of retreats, and to be honest, some places are really scary. If you guys have experienced any retreat related paranormal activity, please share them down below in the comment section. If you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel to your friends and family. If you have stories you'd want me to narrate, send them over at mrelamatph@gmail.com. Salamat guys, and see you in the next one.